to take a look at Worldkiller, and I was kind of hoping to fiddle around with it a little bit because I've never played it before, and it's kind of weird. It looks sort of like a tower defense in a way, but this is a Simonson game, if I recall correctly. Yeah. Therefore, we know it's going to be odd. This was the first of the Ares games. And my subscription didn't start this early. I picked up Barbarian Kings as the first Ares game that I got. When I saw that and fiddled around with it a little bit, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm subscribing. And I only did 1 year. It didn't last for very long. And before SPI went under, and all the subscriptions went away. So the idea here is you'll have a planet with some planetary defenses, some ships defending it, and an intruder who's out to destroy the planet. The intruder's going to start back here, and you look at the map and you say, what the hell is this? Well, it's a representation of three-dimensional space, where you have a set of cubes, and I'm not sure if we've got everything here. So this is the center of the set of cubes, but you've just got height on them. So basically each square is a stack of 7 squares that's represented this way. And so this is in the 0 space, but this would be the +1 space. You're above the plane. This is the -1 space. You're below. It's going to be very, very difficult to visualize what the hell is going on here. I don't know if other similar representations like God's Fire do any better. When you're trying to represent 3 dimensions in 2, it's difficult. For the counters themselves, you have a number of numbers on them. First number is the attack strength, firepower. Second number is the range of the weapon. Third number is the defense strength, which oddly in this game actually decreases. And then the final number off to the side is the jump range, which is essentially the speed of movement. Movement is non-contiguous. You don't move 1, 2, 3 spaces. You jump space to space. This also represents the movement. Unlike most war games, it's not a move all your pieces at once. It's an alternate moving one piece after, you move one piece, your opponent moves one piece. But in the course of a series of moves, each piece can only move once. And then I think you flip it over to indicate that it's not moved. There's not a lot of rolls. There's just 2 sheets of paper, really, to cover what looks like an incredibly innovative and complicated game. But I've read through it, and it feels like maybe there's enough here. There's some people who really love this, and for the most part, though, it was not well received. You have a bunch of ships that are not in the initial scenario, but there are a couple of other scenarios. So actually, what you have is one of those pages. One of those pages is sort of an introduction showing you the pieces that are involved. One of those 4 pages, yes, there's an important chart there, is mainly different scenarios for the game. So you've got almost no rules to cover this game. Now they're very, very, very tightly packed because of that. So these are the starting pieces. It's a sort of a free setup. Again, the intruder can set up here. The defending player can set up anywhere. And I have some thoughts that initially, and again, I haven't fiddled around with it, that the game might be easily broken. And I'll show you why. But I'm not sure because there aren't that many pieces. Okay, so the intruder's purpose in the game is to destroy the planet and have at least one surviving ship after doing so. There's a special, hey, the intruder can't try to just delay the game. If after 20 game turns of play, the intruder has been so weakened as to be incapable of destroying the planet and yet still capable of avoiding the planetary player's attempts to eliminate him, the planetary player can claim a victory. As long as he has twice as many total attack strength points in play as the intruder has total defense strength points in play at the end of a game turn. We're not that worried about this, you know. The intruder's goal is to destroy the planet. If he can't do that, he shouldn't be trying to avoid losing. Okay. Sequence of play. So the intruder picks one of his ships and does something. Or passes. And that ship is turned face down. I assume on a pass as well. That's not spelled out, but you know. Then the defender takes one of his ships and does something. And turns that, and that could be a fortress, and turns that item face down. And you continue this until both players have passed consecutively. If both players pass consecutively, oh, you might be able to just pass then. Or all other possible actions have been performed, then the game turn ends and all ships and fortresses are turned face up and a new game turn begins. So you may be offering the other player, I don't want to do anything. Okay. That could be a problem if there's good reason for neither player to do anything, but we'll talk. So there's 5 different actions a ship can take: jump, attack, pop, stretch, and repair. Jump is move, attack is fire, pop is move and fire, stretch is try to move further. We'll talk about that in a bit. And repair is kind of self-explanatory. Fortresses can only attack and repair. The intruder ships may not enter spaces that are marked with stars near the planet. There's short range. Oh, this is the way of preventing my exploit. Actually, there are certain spaces that are close to the planet that are considered to be so heavily defended, but very short range weaponry, mines, whatever, that you can't get to them. I don't think that's an issue. Okay. Oh, we also have these shield markers, which are the shields for the planet. And they're what's going to defend the planet. Okay, so movement. When you move, you pick one of your ships, and you can jump it equal or less than its jump range. The jump range is cubes of distance. Damage doesn't affect that. You take the ship from the current position and put it in the new position. You measure the distance using this jump distance table. Now, God knows. So X, Y, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about here. So if X and Y or Y dash X, what is that, a minus? Is that, I don't know. This is the part I didn't get, is how that chart works. And I should be able to figure it out pretty quickly, but the player takes the ship from its current position and places it on a new one, being careful to place the exact line within the grid box. Yeah. The measures the distance. Yeah, so they don't, this is what they don't explain, how this works. So, if X and Y are both 1, I don't know what that fucking is supposed to mean. So, if X dash Y or Y dash X, I think that's X minus Y, or Y minus X. Yeah, I'm really not sure what the fuck they're trying to express with this. When a ship displaces cube to cube, you should think the move is a ship in 3 different directions. Yeah, I understand that. We call X and Y. We can use conventions of geometry. Okay, let's see. We got an example. A move from 801 which is over here at 0. Put a ship there, one that shouldn't be there, but whatever. To 604 plus 2. 604 plus 2 will be over here. Okay. So, that's plus 2. That's expressed as x3. Y. X3, Y2, Z2. Okay. So, to me, it's Y1 and X2 and Z1. And that's what I'm not getting here, right? I'm moving a distance of 1 in the X direction, 2 in the Y direction, although maybe they have the X and Y different, right? I always think Y is up, down, but whatever. So let's say that's 2 in the X direction, 1 in the Y direction, and only 1 in the Z direction, right? No, it's plus 2, so it's 2 in the Z direction. So I get the Z direction. I'm moving 2 in that direction. What I don't get is this X dash Y or Y dash X thing. And I don't fucking know what they're talking about. So let's take a look at what X3, Y2. That would be not here. So that would be 2, 3, and 2 is 4. And that matches what they're talking about. What I don't get is why they're picking X3 and Y2 when it looks to me like X is 1 and Y is 2. If we looked at X1, Y2, Z2, we would only be talking 3 hexes, or 3 spaces. And again, it's not making sense to me. But there should also be zeros, and that's the problem, right? Because the fact that they've got zeros for the z-axis, but they don't have zeros for the difference in the x or y-axis. And that's, I think, what they're doing is they're just adding 1 to the x and y distances. That bugs the shit out of me and doesn't seem to make sense. So if we were to count this, let's say we counted this, we would be going, well, we would be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which clearly is not the case because it's as the crow flies. And again, I don't think this true distance chart even really works because I can't understand it. And I think I'm going to look online and see if anybody has anything to say about it. Unfortunately, the game does not actually address it. Now, nowhere is it addressed. It's not on WebGrogners. There's no errata for this, and I'm not shocked by that. And on BGG, there's a question, and somebody is saying, well, if one of them is 0, you know, just treat it as 0 as 1, which might work okay, but the example then is wrong. The example clearly doesn't show what is intended. Because the distance we see here is, again, that x of 1, y of 2, with a z of 2, the distance should be 3 in that case, not the 4 that they calculate from here. I don't know, you know, I'll try my best to use it. Because there's no other option, right? You know, I mean, I guess I could try to calculate it out, you know, using the geometry, but clearly it's wrong, and I don't know. And I don't know if the chart's wrong, but the example is very clearly not right. Okay. So ships can jump through any cubes without regard to what they're moving through. You can jump to or from cubes with friendly ships or fortresses, but apparently not enemy. And you can't enter the planet, and the invader, of course, can't enter the starred ones, which isn't spelled out here. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. So that's jumping. Stretching. So an intruder ship can increase their range of their jump by waiting a number of game turns before performing the stretch jump. An intruder that remains inactive for 2 game turns. So that's, by my interpretation, it takes a total of 3 turns. You're inactive 1 turn, inactive a 2nd turn, 3rd turn, you're doing your stretch jump. May jump a distance of 6 cubes, regardless of its normal range. And, yeah, you know, there are ships that have a 3 jump range, but whatever. If you wait for 3 turns, you may jump on the following game turn to any cube on the map, except for prohibited cubes. Each game turn in which the intruders have been stretching should be recorded on a piece of paper using the ID number on the counter. Boy, is that going to be obnoxious. I may use some other form. I have some tiddlywinks and stuff. An intruder is not required to execute a stretch jump simply because it's eligible to do so. Now, it has to be inactive. To me, that means pass, but I don't know. Attacking and popping. Okay. Each ship or fortress has an attack strength and a weapon range. When eligible, a ship or fortress may attack any single enemy within its range. Huh. So the true distance here is 2. That's fine. I'm just making sure. Uh-oh, there are ships that cannot attack the home planet. But they're Earth ships. Or Terran, human ships. They're not. This isn't Earth, but it's humans versus someone else. Okay. Subtract the attack ship of the attacking ship or fortress from the final defense strength of the target. That number is then subtracted from the roll of a die. That'll be the number of damage points indicated on the ship, which you mark with these little counters. If the attack strength subtracted from the defense strength of the target is less than 0, and I think that's what this means, you treat it as 0. So you'll not modify the die roll. Okay. When a ship or fortress sustains a number of damage points equal to double its printed defense strength, that ship will be destroyed and it's removed from the game. When a ship or fortress sustains damage equal to or greater than its attack strength, that ship or fortress can no longer attack. The effective defense strength of a ship or fortress is equal to its printed defense strength minus half the damage points it's currently sustaining. So this is why I say the defenses get reduced, which is kind of a weird thing, and it's going to be kind of an annoyance to bookkeeping. But like, if this guy has 2 hits on him, he now has a defense of 5. The planetary player's ships, that's the blue, not their fortresses, may have their final defense strength increased by up to 2 points due to the adjacency of friendly ships or fortresses. Up to 2 adjacent ships or fortresses. Not in the same space, they have to be adjacent. Now remember, you can stack. There's reasons not to, but... okay. Any eligible ship can make a pop attack by moving and firing, or firing and moving in the same game turn. If you do a pop attack, though, you take 2 points of damage immediately after you make the attack. So... when a ship or fortress is destroyed, all other ships in the same cube are destroyed with it as well, and that's why you don't want to stack. The planet itself has 3 passive shields, each with a strength of 5. That passive to me is just informational. There was a question on this, and there's a question on something else, which we'll talk about in a moment. These shields must all be destroyed before the planet is destroyed. They can each be attacked individually, and they may not repair themselves. You can keep track of each one on a sheet of paper. It doesn't appear that they have any facing or anything. They're just the 3 planetary shields, and we keep track of the hits on them. So once they take 10 hits, they're gone. The ability of ships and fortresses... Okay. Repair is the ability of ships and fortresses to recover from damage. When eligible to act, if it chooses to repair, the damage points will be equal to the effective defense strength of that ship or fortress alone. So if we went back to the situation where the ship had taken 2 points of damage, it would have an effective defense strength of 5. It could repair 5 points of damage. But as you get more damaged, it may be that you cannot repair the entire ship with one pass or one repair action. Remember, a repair action probably is not a pass, so it doesn't count. No matter what, it's not inactive, so it doesn't count towards stretching. Now, one of the other questions that came up was whether you could stretch and pop at the same time. And I would say no, because you're allowed one of 5 actions. And attacking and popping are 2 separate things. Stretching and jumping are 2 separate things. What does it say? Let's take a look at popping. Let's see how popping is defined. Any element moving or firing in the same... Oh. Okay, it says moving, not jumping, so I would say yes, you can stretch and pop at the same time. Okay. Again... That's an ambiguity. Who knows? Because you're only allowed to do one of the 5 actions, but popping is not well defined. Okay. In addition to the standard scenario, where I've already explained how the setup can be done, the reinforcement scenario allows, on game turn 13, the planetary player rolls a die and can bring in additional forces of 7 ships. Which includes some that I think are not in the game initially. And the intruder gets 6 additional ships as well. As soon as the planetary player gets his ships, there's a random where it comes in. Missile cruisers, there's a ship type that has these missiles, and they basically remain on the map until they collide with their target, any enemy occupied cube, at which point they attack with their attack strength, and they're not reduced in attack strength when they fight. And then there's a Blitz Rider scout vessel option, which is these little tiny things, which again are not considered to be present on Frontier Worlds, but whatever. They can do a pop attack without taking mandatory damage, as long as they move no more than half their jump range. They can always attack no matter how damaged they are, and they can also act as a missile and crash into the enemy with an attack strength of 3. Their normal attack strength is a crappy 1, so that's a pretty big deal. And then there's a whole bunch of make up your own scenario. You can change the strength of the forces to balance. You could use some kind of bidding or something like that. You could, all very lightly described. All right, we're going to send this up. Again, I have no idea how this is going to work. Some people have managed to play it. I think I did what I can with the distance chart. Because again, the example is just clearly wrong by any reasonable stretch of the imagination, and the lack of a 0 distance is problematic. But you never want to be, you never need to calculate distances that are greater than 6, which is why the tables only go as far as they do. However, are they good enough? Yeah, because like 1-5, yeah. Okay. So up it goes.